Good afternoon, my dear student. That today I am going to discuss some inside questions from the chapter 1 from your history book. So, what is the chapter? First one, that is the Mesopotamian civilization. Now, today I already given you few questions by the Teno app. So, these answers today I tell you. Now, the first one is the define the following terms, and the first is given Chalcolithic age. What is the Chalcolithic age? That in which age or in which time of period that copper are used as the important metals and all important metals and all the tools and weapons are made by through the copper. This particular period is known as the Chalcolithic age. Again I repeat, what is the Chalcolithic age? That in which time or period that copper is used as the important metals and all the tools and weapons on the time it's made by through the copper. It's known as the Chalcolithic age. Now the next one is the Bronze age. Like the same way, that in which age or in which time or period that bronze was used as the important metals and all the weapons and the tools are made by through the bronze. This time or period in history, it's known as the Bronze age. Next is the what is cuneiform. That you know that the writing system, those are the development of the writing system in Mesopotamia. It's known by the name of cuneiform. And the next is sexagesimal. Sexagesimal is they developed in the mathematics, the Mesopotamian civilization peoples, they developed too much and they make all the mathematical calculation depending on the 60, and that is called the sexagesimal. And the next is write any three difference between the Chalcolithic and Bronze age. Now, what are the three differentiates between the Chalcolithic and Bronze age? The first one is their definition. You can write that what is the Chalcolithic age, what is the Bronze age. After that, the second difference is that during the Chalcolithic age, that all the tools made by the copper. During the Bronze age, all the tools made by the bronze. And the copper tools are less useful for the agriculture process. And the bronze tools are much stronger and harder than the copper tools, so it being very useful for the agriculture process. So by this way you can three difference, you can write it easily. And next is what is the meaning of Macedonia? The Macedonia means land between two rivers. What is the meaning of it? Land between two rivers. That is the meaning of Macedonia. Land between two rivers. Why it called? Because the Macedonia civilization is located between the river Tigris and Euphrates. That is why Macedonia is also known as the Macedonian civilization is also known as the meaning of Macedonia is the land between two rivers. And the next is what is the name of earliest civilization that emerged in Macedonia? That is the Sumerian civilization. Sumerian civilization is the earliest civilization that is emerged in Macedonia. Sumerian civilization is the earliest civilization that is emerged in Mesopotamia. And the next Mesopotamian civilization is also known as the cradle of civilization. Mesopotamian civilization is also known as the cradle of civilization. What is the meaning of cradle? Cradle means the childhood or means the childhood place. So why it called the cradle of the civilization? Because the Mesopotamian civilization among the others, all the civilization, the Mesopotamian civilization was the first one that established in the earth's surface. So for that reason, the other civilization peoples, they have to spread from the Mesopotamia and they make the different civilization. So for that reason, the Mesopotamian civilization is also known as the cradle of civilization. And what is the irrigation system? And write about the uses of the agriculture process. That the irrigation system means, first you have to understand what is the irrigation process. Then we know that Mesopotamian peoples, their main occupation was the agriculture. So peoples, they have to depend on the agriculture process. Now, especially whenever the rainfall is not occur in a proper amount in those places, that places they have to depend on the other sources of water. So sometimes the peoples, they have to use the river or the canal water for the agriculture process. And this process is known as the irrigation process. When the peoples, they use the river or canal water for their agriculture process, this process is known as the irrigation process. Now, how it useful for us? Because if they have to, suppose in India, I am telling you, in India, that the irrigation process how it useful for us. Suppose in India that we have to depend on the monsoon rainfall. Now, all the times in the year, the monsoon rainfall did not occur during the except the monsoon season only. So the other time, how the peoples they will do the agriculture process. So that time, peoples have to depend on the canal water or those are the river water. They have to depend on it. So this process, by this way, the agriculture process being developed. So they can throughout of the year they can cultivate the crops. That is very useful for the making the better economic condition for the farmer. And the next is write a short note about the ziggurats. Means the ziggurats is the main of the large temples. That is a layer wise it being made, and that is built the center of the Macedonian city. That the ziggurat is those are the main god. They are being present. They are being staying in this temple. And the code of Hammurabi. That Hammurabi was the sixth king in Babylon, and he made lots of rules and regulations for the first time in the history. There are different rules and regulations for the different purpose, and this all the rules and regulations that is made by through the King Hammurabi. It's known by the name of Code of Hammurabi. So can I repeat? What is the Code of Hammurabi? That the Hammurabi was the sixth king in Babylon, and he made all the rules and regulations for the first time that for the Babylonian peoples. And these all the rules and regulations that is prepared for the different purpose. These all the rules and regulations that is made by the King Hammurabi, that is also known by the name of Code of Hammurabi. Next is the Hanging Garden of Babylon. What is the Hanging Garden in Babylon? This is one of the seven, will be the seven wonders. This is one of the things. That is a hanging garden. Generally, the garden we can see in on the floor, in the plain areas, the different gardens have been present. But it's a hanging. Why it is called? This is garden is made by the King Nebuchadnezzar. What is the name? King Nebuchadnezzar for his beloved wife. So his wife belonged from the mountainous region. Her home in the mountainous area, which is a high hill region. So she generally used to see those are the gardens in the very high region. But those are the places, or the Macedonian civilization, the places of the plain area. So what is the King Nebuchadnezzar made that one huge garden that made by through the pillars like this by the pillars. Here is the pillars, 3-4 pillars you have to make, and above on it you have to prepare the garden. And while the gardens, they are the branches of trees, it look like the falling like this. So from the far distance, it look like the pillars are not visible. So it looked like that they totally hanging. So that is why this garden is known as the hanging garden. It's not actually in hanging. Okay. So I hope you have to understand it. These are all the question answers. So next day we have to discuss the another chapter that is set question answer. So today I have to hear. Thank you.